Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. हज़रत मसीह मऊद अलैहिस्सलाम एक जगह फरमाते हैं,
The promised Messiah ﷺ, on whom be peace, has written in one place, I extend my thankfulness to Allah the Supreme, that He has granted me a sincere and loyal community. I observe that the work and the purpose for which I call upon them, with great speed, fervor and passion, vying to excel one another, in accordance with their strength and capabilities, they come forward. And I observe that honesty, sincerity and devotion is found in them. Whenever I instruct them regarding anything, they are ready to comply with it. In reality, no nation and no Jamaat or community can be prepared or ready thus, until is found within them such compliance and obedience of their leader, which is filled with passion, sincerity and fidelity. The promised Messiah ﷺ continues, amongst the reasons for the tribulations and difficulties faced by the Messiah are the weakness of the community and their half-heartedness. This is in regards to Hazrat Isa, or Jesus, peace be upon him. He continues that as opposed to this, the Sahaba, or the companions of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, their example of sincerity and devotion was completely matchless in the history of the world. For the sake of the Prophet, they considered it easy to endure all kinds of pain and suffering, to the extent that they left their family and their nation, and they departed with their belongings and their possessions. Ultimately, for the sake of the Prophet, they did not grieve upon giving their lives up for him. It was this very sincerity and devotion which ultimately enabled them to become successful. Similarly, I observe that Allah the Almighty has granted my Jamaat, or my community, in accordance with His status and ability, with a zeal and a passion, and they demonstrate their example of sincerity and devotion. Further, the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, in his book Haqiqatul Wahi, wrote, while mentioning the signs of God in his favor, in the 76th sign he wrote that in Baraheen Ahmadiyat there is found a prophecy of God Almighty regarding me. Al-Kaito alayka muhabbatun minni وَلَا تُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي. In other words, Allah the Supreme states that I shall put love of you in the hearts of people. I will take care of you before my eyes. The promised Messiah ﷺ says, this prophecy was revealed at a time when not a single person knew of me. Then, after some time, this prophecy was fulfilled, and thousands upon thousands of people were produced by Allah the Almighty, who were filled with love of me in their hearts. Some gave their lives for my sake. Some endured financial ruin for my purpose, whilst others were driven out of their countries and their homes, and were persecuted. And there are thousands upon thousands who sacrifice their own self and give me precedence, and present before me the wealth that is dear to them. Here the promised Messiah ﷺ has mentioned a letter of a sincere and devout Ahmadi Sayyid Mir Nasir Shah Sahib, who wrote the following: It is my ardent wish that on the day of judgment I am included in the blessed Jamaat or community under your auspices, as I am now. Allah the Almighty knows that the love this humble person feels for you is such that I would sacrifice all my property and my life for your sake. I am devoted to you with 1,000 lives. May my brothers and my parents be sacrificed for your sake. May God bring about my ending in your love and in your obedience. Ameen. The promised Messiah ﷺ states, when I find in the greater part of my Jamaat such high level of sincerity and devotion, then I spontaneously am forced to say that, O my powerful Lord, in reality, every single thing and particle is under your control. In this tumultuous era, you have inclined the heart of these people towards me and granted them steadfastness, and as such, this is an immense sign of your might and power. At this time, I will present the accounts of certain devout persons who excelled in their loyalty, devotion, and obedience. Some of these matters may seem ordinary and trivial. A person assumes that how does this apparently small matter display obedience? However, in every account of obedience is entailed a deep lesson, due to the sincerity and devotion that these companions had for the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. They would readily and happily demonstrate perfect and complete obedience to the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. All of these matters and all of these accounts are models for us. In essence, it is this obedience and this connection that also becomes a source of enhancement of taqwa, and a means of establishing the identity and enabling the progress of the Jamaat. Hazrat Fazl-e-Ilahi Sahib, a retired postmaster, said that a directive was received from the government for me to be promoted. I mentioned this to Hazrat Sahib, that is the promised Messiah ﷺ, that I have been promoted. I am leaving here because I am being transferred. The promised Messiah, on whom be peace, states that, look, Fazl-e-Ilahi, people are spending thousands of rupees to come here to Qadian, and you are leaving here for the sake of a promotion. Stay here. We will compensate for your loss. He said, in accordance with the directive of the promised Messiah ﷺ, I did not leave, and I sacrificed that financial gain that I could have obtained. Hazrat Mufti Fazlur Rahman Sahib states that the promised Messiah ﷺ would go on certain days for the Gurdaspur court case, and he would always take me alongside him in the carriage. In those days there were horse-drawn carriages. When the promised Messiah ﷺ would come out to leave in the morning, he would say, "Where's Mia Fazlur Rahman?" If I was present, then I would say so. Otherwise, somebody would call for me from my home that, "Come quickly." I would always drive the horse-drawn carriage of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace. The owner of the carriage was not asked to drive. I would sit in the driving seat of the carriage, and the late Mian Shadi Khan Sahib would sit in the front with me. The promised Messiah, on whom be peace, would sit alone inside the carriage. During this time, my second child fell ill, that is, during one of these travels during the court case. And my child fell ill with typhoid. The promised Messiah ﷺ often came to visit my child. A day before the next court appearance, my wife stated that write to the promised Messiah ﷺ for prayers. I responded, when the promised Messiah ﷺ comes daily to check upon the health of the child, what is the need to write to him? But she insisted, and I wrote a note or a letter to the promised Messiah ﷺ. The promised Messiah ﷺ wrote on my letter that I will indeed pray. However, if a certain destiny has been decreed, then it cannot be averted. Reading these words, I started crying. My wife asked why. I said, now this child cannot remain with us. If he was to improve in health, the promised Messiah ﷺ would not have written this. In any case, the next morning we were due to leave. Everybody was standing on the roadside. In anticipation, the promised Messiah ﷺ came out and did not say anything to anyone. He came straight to my house. He saw the child and prayed for him and stated to me, today stay here. I shall come tomorrow. The situation of the child is critical. Subsequently, I stayed behind. This was the only one day when I could not travel with the promised Messiah ﷺ in one of his journeys. Hazur says there was indeed on one side the sorrow and grief upon the health of the child. However, his deep grief and anguish for not travelling just one day with the promised Messiah ﷺ is evident. Hazrat Hafiz Abdul Ali Sahib, son of Maulvi Nizamuddin Sahib, relates, I heard this verbally from Mir Muhammad Ismail Sahib, retired civil surgeon, who at that time was a student, that when he went to study in the Lahore Medical College, the promised Messiah ﷺ counselled him that do not stay alone in any house in Lahore, rather always stay with someone. In accordance with this instruction, as far as I knew, Mir Sahib never stayed alone in any city he went to. At that time there was no boarding in the medical college. Mir Sahib stayed in a rented house. Hazur says, thus he did not consider that to be a one-off instruction. Rather, as he relates, whenever I observed in my life, wherever he had to reside, he always stayed with someone else. Hazrat Malik Shadi Khan Sahib, son of Amir Baksh Sahib, relates, once, alongside the late Mian Jamaluddin Sahib, I came to Qadian. Upon arrival at Masjid Mubarak, it was Zuhr time. The promised Messiah, on whom be peace, came for the prayer. I shook hands with the promised Messiah ﷺ. There were earrings on my ears, or small items of jewelry. The promised Messiah ﷺ said, why are you wearing these earrings? Muslims do not wear these. Mian Jamaluddin Sahib relates, village folk are like this because they are unaware of such issues. The promised Messiah ﷺ said, remove them from your ears. The late Mir Nasir Nawab Sahib said, quickly remove them, because this has been instructed by the promised Messiah ﷺ. I immediately removed them. When I then came to offer the Asr prayer, the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, stated, now you look like a Muslim. After that I took the Bayat, the Pledge of Allegiance, because at the time he had not taken the initiation. Hazur says, even nowadays, for the sake of fashion, some youngsters wear weird items, some wear gold chains around their necks. All of these things are forbidden. Wearing gold is in any case forbidden for Muslim men. Sometimes the society here has an influence on them. I have observed that at times some Ahmadi boys also adopt such fashion. The mother of Bashir Ahmed Sahib Bhatti, daughter of Abdur Rahim Sahib Bhatti, relates that once the promised Messiah ﷺ had some rice prepared in the household, in other words, pulao. In accordance with the directive of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace, Hazrat Al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers, sent portions of rice to all the households that were present in Qadian at the time. That rice was called the blessed rice. The promised Messiah ﷺ had instructed that everyone in the household should be fed this rice. In other words, wherever this rice was sent, everyone in the house should have a portion of the rice. So Bashir Ahmad was employed in Jammu at the time. His father, Abdul Rahim, put a few pieces of the rice attached to a piece of paper and placed it in an envelope. So there was an instruction for the people that feed all your household this rice. In full compliance with this directive, he said, because that is my son who is not present at the time, he attached a few grains of that rice on a piece of paper, placed it in an envelope, and he wrote this much, that eat these small pieces of rice attached to this piece of paper. This was love and obedience in this person. Hazrat Mian Abdul Ghaffar Sahib Jarrah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu relates, when the promised Messiah alayhi salam visited Lahore for the last time, he wrote a letter calling for my father. When my father arrived in Lahore, Khwaja Kamaluddin Sahib questioned that Mian Ghulam Rasul, what is the purpose of your coming here, or why have you come here? My father took out the letter of the promised Messiah and showed it to him, and said, ask this person who has written the letter. He then met the promised Messiah alayhi salam. He was able to groom his hair and apply mehndi. He also mentioned what Khwaja Kamaluddin Sahib had said. The promised Messiah alayhi salam wrote a note. My father showed it to everyone downstairs, and everyone quieted and did not raise this issue again. The promised Messiah alayhi salam expressed sentiments of love and gave my father 5 rupees and had written that I had called you, do not care for what others say. Thus, the sentiments of love that the companions had for the promised Messiah alayhi salam was reciprocated with greater love from the promised Messiah alayhi salam to the companions. Hazrat Shaykh Zainul Abidin Sahib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, states that when Hafiz Sahib came to Qadian, he would smoke a lot of hookah. He would secretly go to the house of Mian Nizamuddin and smoke it there. Those people were relatives of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, but were fiercely opposed to him. The promised Messiah alayhi salam learned of this. He said, Mian Hamid Ali, take this money, go to the market and purchase a hookah and also tobacco. Whenever you so require, smoke it at home. Do not go to these people, because these people rejected Islam. Subsequently, he purchased the hookah and would smoke it at home, and his guests would also use it. After 6 or 7 months, the promised Messiah alayhi salam stated to him, Mian Hamid Ali, how good would it be if you left smoking this hookah? Hafiz Sahib said, very well, and he left smoking that hookah immediately. Hence, in the first instance, in order to prevent him from being in bad company, the promised Messiah alayhi salam devised a plan. He made temporary arrangements that go and purchase your own hookah and smoke it in your own home. After a period of time, the promised Messiah alayhi salam then said that because this is such a thing which is also detrimental to your health and embroils you in bad habits, so therefore it would be better if you refrain from smoking it at all. Nobody should infer from this, but because the promised Messiah alayhi salam made arrangements for him at one time to smoke, it is permissible. Smoking cigarettes and similar things are generally such bad vices which are better to refrain from. In fact, the promised Messiah alayhi salam has said in one place that if tobacco and similar substances existed in the time of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then most surely he would have forbidden them. Hazrat Malik Ghulam Hussain Sahib Muhajir radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, narrates. He mentions, with reference to a Sayyid Sahib, that once when he came to visit, the promised Messiah alayhi salam called me and said, Mian Ghulam Hussain, I have assigned Pira and Mian Karam Dad to serve Sayyid Sahib at present. However, they are simple and straightforward people, so therefore you also take care of him. Pira's duty was to go to the market and purchase different provisions and goods for him. Because the guests smoked tobacco, Karam Dad would prepare the hookah. The promised Messiah ﷺ had assigned me to supervise both of them, and said, take great care of this guest. He is a very respected person, and he comes from a long distance, bearing great trouble. Sayyid Sahib would say to me that, Mian Ghulam Hussain, I need cold water. I will run and bring him cold water from the large mosque. His food would also come from there. I would present him the food myself. He would stay for approximately 1 to 1.5 months. From time to time, the promised Messiah ﷺ would inquire from me, that is Sayyid Sahib comfortable? Once the promised Messiah ﷺ in the mosque smiled and said to Sayyid Sahib himself that, are you comfortable? Sayyid Sahib stated that I am not afflicted with any trouble. Mian Ghulam Hussain even brings me water from the mosque. To see off Sayyid Sahib, the promised Messiah ﷺ would go to Darusset. When the promised Messiah ﷺ would return, he would call Pira, Karamdad and myself and give them 2 rupees, and he would give me 5 rupees. Service, hospitality and service of guests in compliance of the instruction of the promised Messiah ﷺ, everyone would carry this out at the time. This is in any case a commandment that carry out hospitality. However, here, apart from the obligation of serving the guests in order to obtain blessings, there was, on the second hand, a labor of love and obedience. Hazrat Maulvi Aziz Deen Sahib radiallahu ta'ala anhu relates that once Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib, who was at the time employed in Lahore, sought permission to leave in the morning from the promised Messiah alayhi salam. The promised Messiah alayhi salam replied, do not leave today, stay here. Later in the afternoon, Mufti Sahib stated, I was due to report back to work today, and now the time is past. The promised Messiah alayhi salam replied, do not worry about the time. Depart now, inshallah you will reach in time. Mufti Sahib departed for Batala. I also went alongside him to Batala. It was 4 o'clock. In those days, a train would depart at 2 p.m. for Batala. We were all frustrated. However, when we reached the station, we learned that the train was 2 hours late. Subsequently, that train arrived and we boarded it and departed for Lahore. These were not the days of Jalsa, but these were some other days. Hazrat Mian Abdul Aziz Sahib radiallahu ta'ala anhu relates that Mian Chirag Deen Sahib would relate that once on a Sunday, I requested permission for leave for the promised Messiah alayhi salam, that I have to report back to work. The promised Messiah alayhi salam would normally give leave, but that day he did not. He gave permission for me to leave on Monday morning. I left by train at 11 o'clock and reached at 3 p.m. in Lahore. I immediately set off and reached at 3:30 p.m. at the office. As soon as I sat on my chair, Hazur says, look, because he stayed behind due to love and obedience to the promised Messiah alayhi salam, look how Allah the Almighty treated him, and this miraculous incident came about. He said, as soon as I sat on the chair, an office clerk came and said, we gave you some papers at 12 o'clock. Have you completed that work? Although he had arrived himself at 3 o'clock. Then an officer came. He said, Chirag Deen, the note you gave at 11 o'clock, this is the reply to it. In other words, Allah the Almighty made such miraculous arrangements that someone else took the memo and the other person thought it was Chirag Deen Sahib. But this was the work of the angels of God. So then the officer said, this is the reply to your note. He said, I learned that every single person in the office assumed that I had been in the office all day. So I left the office at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Thus, this is an example of obedience and submission, and also the treatment of Allah the Almighty with the companions. Hadrat Mir Mehdi Hussain Sahib radiallahu ta'ala anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, relates the following, that the promised Messiah alayhi salam called me and he instructed that there is no fuel in our langar or communal kitchen. Go and purchase it from the village and reach back by the evening, because there is no fuel for tomorrow in the kitchen. He gave me 4 rupees to purchase the fuel. I took the money and immediately went upon the roof of Masjid Mubarak, and near the minaret which is present, I prayed that, O Lord, your Messiah has given me a task, and I am completely unfamiliar with it. Provide me such means by which I can come by the evening and bring the firewood or fuel. I heard a voice just above the minaret, and the voice said, it is a desert. I thought that due to the injury on my foot, Allah the Almighty was preventing me from going. I once again supplicated that, O Allah, that I shall go with difficulty, but enable the command of your Messiah to be fulfilled by the evening. I received a reply that the fuel will come here, there is no need to go anywhere. I performed sajda shukr, prostration of gratefulness, and said if this is how the work of the Messiah will be fulfilled, then the world will be conquered. So I sat there and continued to pray that, O Allah, let it not happen that by evening I have to face embarrassment before the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Then the thought came into my heart, I am not a prophet, I am not a wali, whose revelations have to so rapidly come to be true. I should set forth somewhere. Then I also thought that if one invites another that come to our house for dinner in the evening, then the guest does not show reluctance. Thus in turn I should have firm faith in the promises of Allah the Almighty. He will most certainly enable the firewood or fuel to come here. I thus stayed upon the rooftop reassured. It was near Zuhr time. As soon as I came down, the maid, who had witnessed the promised Messiah alayhi salam giving me the money, saw me and said, you still have not gone to get the firewood or fuel? I reflected that she is a maid of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. She would know that the promised Messiah alayhi salam had revelations which come true. I said, do not fret. Allah the Almighty has provided me with a revelation that the firewood or fuel shall reach here. Upon this she became enraged and said, are you saying that until you receive a revelation you will not go anywhere? Look, I shall go now and inform the promised Messiah alayhi salam. In other words, she took this in the wrong way. In any case, she went and informed the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Despite the fact that I stopped her, she went and informed him that he says that until I receive a revelation I will not go anywhere. I became anxious that now certainly the promised Messiah alayhi salam will call, inquire from me, and I will have to mention my revelation. How can a beggar say before a king that I am also wealthy? In other words, the promised Messiah alayhi salam would receive revelations. How could I say that I have received this revelation? For this reason, I went down the stairs and ran towards the route to Batala. I looked back to see if anyone had called after me. When I reached the place to go to Batala, I resolved that when I reach Sekva, I shall search for firewood or fuel, and obtain help from Ya Imamuddin and Khairuddin. Walking a short distance, I then thought in my mind again that this is a command of Allah the Almighty, that the fuel will come here today. If I depart outside, then the money is with me. How will this work be fulfilled? Thus, once again I returned and sat on the roof of the mosque, and I continued praying that, O Allah, fulfill your promise. Pirandita was a servant of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, who was called Pahariya. He saw me and called out that the carriage of firewood and fuel have come, go and purchase it. I performed sajda shukr, prostration of gratefulness, and then I saw myself that one of the cart contained the cow dung fuel and one contained the wood fuel. There were 12 buyers present there, and they were giving bids of 2 rupees above the other. The bid had reached 1 rupee and 12 anna. Mir Najmuddin desired to increase the bid by 2 rupees. I called out and said, let me see how much fuel is in here. I looked in the cart and I stated, this is not worth an anna more than 1 rupee and 12 anna. Whoever desires to can purchase it. So I said this and departed. Then I prayed, O Allah, without your grace I cannot obtain this. After I departed, all buyers dispersed. Pirandita stood there. When the person who owned the cart was shocked that there was no buyers, Pirandita said, come, bring the cart with me. I will take you where you can sell it for 1 rupee and 12 anna. The person who owned the cart came alongside with him. I at the time was praying on Masjid Mubarak. When I heard Pirandita say, the cart has come, now take it. So I took the fuel cart to the kitchen or the langarkhana, and I thought that I should inform the promised Messiah alayhi salam that I have fulfilled this instruction. But then I thought in my mind that why do I need to necessarily give notice for this? Allah the Almighty will inform the promised Messiah alayhi salam himself. It is not essential for me to inform him. In the morning, the promised Messiah alayhi salam left for a morning walk. When he was inspecting his road, which was made by Mir Sahib, he came back. Then he said by way of a joke that here a Mahdi Hassan has come. I told him to fetch some fuel, but he says, until I receive a revelation regarding this, I will not get the fuel. This is how the maid had informed the promised Messiah. Upon this, everyone laughed. In any case, look at how Allah the Almighty treated him. On the one hand, he had some obligations, and secondly, Allah the Almighty wanted to give proof of His existence, and His prayers were acceptance in a miraculous way, and all provisions were provided for. Hazrat Maulana Ghulam Rasul Raji Ki Sahib relates that once I was in Qadian, this is perhaps of 1905, that Mian Abdul Hamid Khan Sahib of Karpurthala and also another person, and Mian Muhammad Khan Sahib, regarding whom the promised Messiah alayhi salam has mentioned in Izala wa Alham in special words. So he asked me that travel to Karpurthala and there give a series of dars or religious lectures for certain days. I said I will remain in Darul Aman. If I return, I will return to my hometown. Upon this, they said, if I request the permission from the promised Messiah alayhi salam, will you still not go? He said, then how would it be possible I would not go? Then I must go. Subsequently, they wrote a note to the promised Messiah alayhi salam, requesting Maulana Ghulam Rasul Raji Ki Sahib to be instructed to go to Karpurthala, where he could spend a few days for giving religious lectures and performing tabligh or preaching. The promised Messiah alayhi salam, in reply to this written request, sent an instruction verbally that yes, he can go. He has permission from me. Then I went with him to Karpurthala. I stayed there for approximately 6 months, and I carried out work of religious lectures and preaching. He said, this is the first time that by virtue of the promised Messiah alayhi salam and his instruction, that I obtained the first opportunity where I travel merely to serve Islam. Hazrat Mian Khairuddin Sahib relates that during the case of Karamdeen, I was in Gurdaspur. It was Maghrib time. The promised Messiah alayhi salam said, Ferozuddin Sahib has not come. For the next morning he was going to stand witness. He was not an Ahmadi, but he was a sincere person. Then the promised Messiah alayhi salam said to Maulvi Sahib, call such a person who is acquainted with Maulvi Noor Ahmed Sahib. I came forth and said, Hazur, I know him. The promised Messiah alayhi salam said, go and promptly bring him at 9 a.m. in the morning. I travelled overnight, and I rested en route in a certain area. In the morning I reached a village. Maulvi Sahib was teaching students after the prayers. From far off he saw me and inquired my well-being and said, how have you come? I said, I have come from Gurdaspur. The promised Messiah alayhi salam has called you. Maulvi Sahib immediately closed his book and recited the verse of the Holy Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu stajibu lillahi walil rasuli idha da'akum lima yuhyikum. In other words, O ye who believe, respond to Allah and the Messenger when He calls you that He may give you life. He said he did not even go home, immediately departed with me, and we reached approximately at 9 a.m. Hazrat Khalifa Nuruddin Sahib of Jammu relates that during the days I was on duty in the town, wherever I would go, I would ask people there about the graves and ask about the circumstance and background. I would sometimes mention this to Maulana Nuruddin Sahib, that is Hazrat Khalifa Masih I. Once I passed through the district of Khaniar and saw an elder man and woman sitting by a certain grave. I asked them that whose grave is this? They said, this is a grave of Nabi Sahib, a prophet. This was of the grave of the king Yusuf Azaf, who was a messenger. I said, where could the prophet have come from here? They said, this prophet came from far off, and he came many 100 years ago. Further, they said, the real grave is underneath. There was a hole through which a fragrance would come. But after the flood water, this fragrance has ceased to come. I mentioned this incident to the Hazrat Maulvi Sahib, that is Hazrat Khalifa Masih I. A period of time passed after this incident. Maulvi Sahib left his employment and went to Qadian. One day, in the gathering of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, in which Hazrat Maulvi Sahib was also present, Hazrat Masih Maud alayhi salam stated, that the verse وَأَوَيْنَاهُمَا إِلَى رَبَّةٍ ذَاتِ قَرَارٍ وَمَعِينٍ, I feel that after the crucifixion, Hazrat Jesus, peace be upon him, went to such a place, such as Kashmir. Upon this, Hazrat Khalifa Masih I mentioned my account of going to Kashmir. The promised Messiah ﷺ called me and instructed me to research further regarding this. Subsequently, I researched further, travelled in Kashmir, and received signatures of 560 scholars regarding this grave. Upon this, the promised Messiah ﷺ was pleased with his work. Hazrat Sayyid Taj Hussain Bukhari Sahib relates, when the promised Messiah ﷺ was visiting Sialkot in the residence of Mir Hamid Shah Sahib, then I went to see him with my maternal grandfather. The promised Messiah ﷺ took the beth from us, the initiation, and said, "Come to Qadian to acquire education. You will become the crown of a certain place." Thus, in 1906, I was enrolled to Talim Islam High School, Qadian. I would often come before the promised Messiah ﷺ, and many a times I took part in his morning walk. Hazrat Mian Sone Khan Sahib relates that in around 1899 in Batala, I was employed in a certain job as a surveyor or estimator, and Sheikh Hashim Ali Sonori worked as a junior revenue official. Our officer came and he was very pleased seeing our work. He stated that, "How far is Qadian from you?" I said, "Approximately 30 miles. Sheikh Sahib stated, "I am a servant of the promised Messiah, on whom be peace." So he said at the time, he was not Ahmadi, that there is one Mirza who is a chief of the sweepers, and one has become Jesus, God forbid, and they are collecting together wealth. A few days passed. In Mozahar there was a shrine of an elder or holy saint whose name is Fatih Ali Shah. In my dream, the promised Messiah ﷺ comes to the shrine of this holy person. I laid down a sheet, the promised Messiah ﷺ sat upon it. In the dream I stayed before him, and I continued to serve him. For 1 month I continued to see such dreams. After this, in my dream, Shah Fatih Ali Sahib of the shrine came. He said, "The Imam of the time has come in Qadian." I said, "Mirza Ghulam Ahmed." He said, "Mirza Ghulam Ahmed Sahib." I thought this dream to just be a concoction of my mind and remained quiet. After a few days, the same elder came in my dream and said, "Why have you not gone to Qadian? And why have you not taken the initiation? Go quickly and take the bet." I resolved to go and came back home. Due to some domestic issues, I was delayed slightly. Then that same elder and holy person came to my dream and said, "I have not said to you to sit at home. Quickly go to Qadian and take the bet, the Pledge of Allegiance." I departed from my home. I was travelling at night, and I stayed in a place where my relatives were. They said to me, "We will go after a certain time." I accepted what they said. At night, Shah Fatih Ali Sahib met me in the dream again. "You have travelled 15 miles and 17 miles remain. We are with you. What are you afraid of?" Then in the morning I set off again and I reached Qadian. I saw the promised Messiah ﷺ towards the north amongst a large crowd of people, and he was currently on one of his walks. I inquired from people that why are people gathered in the jungle. The people said that the promised Messiah ﷺ is going for his walk. We go with him. I went alongside them. I went and said Assalamu alaikum to the promised Messiah ﷺ, and I shook his hands. Mirza Sahib said to me, "Where have you come from?" I said, "From the district Hoshiarpur and from Muzia Murtiana." The promised Messiah said, "What is your name?" I said, "Sone Khan." The promised Messiah said, "Are you that Sone Khan who sees many dreams?" So it seems the promised Messiah ﷺ had been informed by God regarding him. I said, "I am that very servant of yours." The promised Messiah said, "Stay here for 3 days and then we will take the bet." After 3 days I took the initiation. He said the first people who took the initiation of the Messiah of Nazareth were also poor people, because as he had said, there are many poor people and sweepers who are taking the bet, the Pledge of Allegiance. So the promised Messiah ﷺ stated, In response to what he had not probably said it himself then, or perhaps somehow he had been informed of this, the promised Messiah that is. He said, first, it was poor people who took the initiation of the Messiah of Nazareth, and it is poor people who first took the initiation of me. After he said, consider me truthful. This is the counsel and advice he gave, that first have firm faith upon my truthfulness, secondly, offer the 5 daily prayers, and thirdly, he said, never tell a lie. Saying this, he gave me permission to leave. Every single Ahmadi should keep these 3 items of advice before them. Hazrat Fazl-e Ilahi Sahib, son of Walbaksh Sahib, relates that it once occurred that the promised Messiah alayhi salam and Hazrat Amma Jan were walking and reached our village. When they were returning, we were instructed to provide some water. That is, Hazrat Amma Jan felt thirsty. This is an account of her obedience in a way. My mother put water in a glass and said, take this. I quickly went to her and gave Hazrat Amma Jan some water, who was standing there. Hazrat Amma Jan took the water and started drinking it. The promised Messiah alayhi salam only said this much, that water should be drunk sitting down. Hazrat Amma Jan only drank 1 sip of water. Hearing this, she immediately sat down and drank the remaining glass of water while seated. Hazrat Nizamuddin Sahib relates the following, that it once occurred that in those times it was the routine that first all the guests would gather in the Gol Kamra, the round room, and then the promised Messiah alayhi salam would be notified or informed that all servants are present. One day, the promised Messiah alayhi salam came beforehand, and Hazrat Khalifa Masih Awwal, Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib radiyallahu ta'ala anhu had not yet arrived. The promised Messiah alayhi salam told his servant that go and call Maulvi Sahib. The servant ran, and he conveyed the instruction of the promised Messiah. Hazrat Khalifa Masih I, may Allah be pleased with him, stated, has the promised Messiah alayhi salam come? The servant said, yes, and he is calling for you. Upon this, Hazrat Khalifa Masih I ran, and he kept on running until he reached that round room. Generally, Hazrat Khalifa Masih I would sit whilst his head was stooped down, with the exception in those instances when the promised Messiah alayhi salam would address him himself. Otherwise, he would remain with his head stooped for long periods. Hazrat Hafiz Jamal Ahmad Sahib relates that the late Maulvi Ghulam Ahmad Sahib has narrated to me that once someone came from the promised Messiah alayhi salam approximately 11 or 12 o'clock at night to the house of Hazrat Khalifa Masih I to obtain some milk. Maulvi Sahib said that we do not have any milk. However, quickly obtain milk from wherever you can, however much you must spend. I do not desire that a person from the promised Messiah alayhi salam returns empty-handed. It is possible some guest came and the promised Messiah alayhi salam sent for some milk for that purpose. So he said, I ran, and the house in front of the guest's house, I woke up one of the people. I tried to extract milk from the buffalo. Allah the Almighty enabled it to occur, and the milk came out, because normally it is not possible to extract milk from cows in the evening. So Maulvi Sahib was extremely pleased by this. Hazrat Hafiz Jamal Ahmad Sahib relates that Maulvi Ghulam Ahmad Sahib related that once a person of Batala, whose name I have forgotten, with the permission of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, took Hazrat Khalifa Masih I to see an ailing patient. The promised Messiah alayhi salam stated, Maulvi Sahib, you shall return by the evening. Maulvi Sahib said, yes, I shall return by then. Out of God's majesty such rain descended that there was water in all directions. It is in this state that Maulvi Sahib reached Qadian in the evening. He had to walk knee-high in water. There were also thorns that came into his foot. The promised Messiah alayhi salam learned of this, and he felt sorrowful and said, Maulvi Sahib, this was not my desire. Why did you take so much pain and suffering? Hazrat Maulvi Mian Abdul Aziz Sahib relates the following, that once Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib was sitting in his clinic. It was approximately 12 or 1 o'clock. It was the days of summer. Hazrat al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believer, sent a servant from inside, who said, Maulvi Sahib, Hazrat Amma Jan states that carry out my medical treatment of opening my vein. Maulvi Sahib said, go and tell Amma Jan that to open the vein at this stage of the illness from a medical perspective is completely forbidden. Then the servant came back once again and said the same thing, and Maulvi Sahib gave the same response. Then after some time, Mian Mahmud Ahmad Sahib came. Hazrat Maulvi Sahib took him in his lap and said, Mian Sahib, how have you come? He said, Father said, come and open the vein. Maulvi Sahib immediately set forth. He came and performed the medical treatment. When he was about to depart, one person, Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, stated that you are saying that this is medically forbidden. Upon which he replied, now it is not a matter of obedience, now it was an order. Mian Sharafat Ahmad Sahib relates regarding his father, Mian Jamaluddin Sahib, and he says the following, that Hazrat Khalifa Masih I, may Allah be pleased with him, had great love with my father, and that Promised Messiah ﷺ also displayed special kindness and love towards him. The mother of Hazrat Maulvi Sahiba was from the Awan nation. And here, Maulvi Sahib, Maulvi Jamaluddin Sahib, was also from the same area. For this reason, Maulvi Sahib would be especially loving towards him. He had received the instruction from Hazrat Khalifa Masih I that whenever you come to Qadian, then either go and sit in the gathering of the Promised Messiah ﷺ, and then come and see me. Do not go anywhere else. You are not permitted to go anywhere else. My father would relate that this is exactly as I would do. My father narrated that once, during the month of Ramadan, I observed it in Qadian. That is, he observed the fast. Hazrat Sir Muhammad Zafrullah Khan Sahib, son of Sir Nasrullah Khan Sahib, relates that Hazrat Khalifa Masih I, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, apart from running his clinic and carrying out his medical work, he would also deliver darses of the Quran or religious lectures. I also had the opportunity, alongside my father, to partake of his company in those days. I remember clearly that at time during this dars, a person would come and say that the Promised Messiah ﷺ has come outside. As soon as he heard this, Hazrat Khalifa Masih I ended the dars, stood up, and whilst rushing forth, he would tie his turban on his head and try to wear his shoes. And as a result of this effort, often the heels of his shoes would be pressed down. When he was in the presence of the Promised Messiah ﷺ's gathering, that until the Promised Messiah ﷺ addressed him, he never looked up upon the countenance of the Promised Messiah ﷺ. Hazrat Sufi Ghulam Ahmad Sahib relates an account after the demise of the Promised Messiah ﷺ. Everyone took the bayat, the pledge of allegiance of Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib, who stated, yesterday I was your brother, today I have become your father. You must obey me. Amtul Hafiz was the youngest child of the Promised Messiah ﷺ, that is Nawab Amtul Hafiz Begum Sahiba. Thus Hazrat Khalifa Masih I said Amtul Hafiz is the youngest amongst the children of the Promised Messiah ﷺ. She said, if I performed the bayat, the pledge of allegiance, at her hands, I would obey her as I obeyed the Promised Messiah, on whom be peace. May Allah the Almighty continuously elevate the rank of all the companions. And as was their desire, that in the hereafter they should be alongside the Promised Messiah ﷺ, may Allah the Almighty fulfill this desire, and may God the Supreme enable their progeny to remain established on obedience and loyalty. May Allah the Almighty also enable us that whilst displaying perfect obedience, we should continue to maintain our bond with the Imam of this time. May we become the recipients of the prayers that the Promised Messiah ﷺ made for his righteous ones. And may Allah the Almighty enable us to maintain those high standards of loyalty, love and connection with the second manifestation after the Promised Messiah ﷺ, as was mentioned in the instruction of Hazrat Khalifa Masih I, that you must display perfect obedience. And connecting with Khilafat, may we become a part of that Jamaat, which in this age will become the recipient of the blessings of Allah. Because without this, the blessings of Allah the Almighty cannot be acquired. May God the Supreme enable all of us to achieve this. I will also lead to funeral prayers after the Friday prayers. The first Friday prayer is of a Shaheed, a martyr, Mukarram Tariq Ahmad Sahib, son of Mubarak Ahmad Sahib. He was born in a village in Laya. His father passed away before Tariq Sahib's birth. He passed away 2 months before his birth. Tariq Sahib was 41 years old when he passed away. He was an extremely intelligent and able person. On 17th May 2012, Tariq Sahib set out to buy some grocery in a certain place in Laya. He also had to return some money to certain business people. So on the way back at approximately 4 o'clock, he phoned home that I have purchased the grocery. Is anything else needed? After this, he was not contactable. He did not reach home by the evening. They tried to contact him by phone but could not contact him. In any case, later they found out that on the way back, 2 unknown assailants kidnapped him. They took him to an unknown location. They tied his hands and his feet, and they made him a victim of extreme brutality and torture. Whilst he was being inflicted with torture, they broke one of his feet, they broke his shoulder, and they broke his ribs. There were signs of nails upon his knees, and his eyes were also severely injured. He was also brutally beaten on his head. After this torturous ordeal, they shot him in the head, and thus he was martyred. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Then it is the height of torture, cruelty and brutality. Although what they had already done was cruelty to the extreme, after they put him in a drum and threw him in the canal. By coincidence, the canal was closed. Otherwise, it would be impossible to locate the corpse. The next day, the police had informed that they had found the body. His family could not identify him from his face because he had been brutally beaten so much. They identify him through the clothes he was wearing and other signs. According to the report by the Emir Sahib, that this was not a case of animosity against the Jamaat, but I think it is, because he was a sincere person. He had no trouble with anyone, and previously his relatives were shot at and injured in a similar manner. May Allah the Almighty elevate the status of the Shaheed, the martyr. May Allah the Almighty also make these enemies rapidly a sign of His punishment, whilst manifesting clear signs in favor of Ahmadiyyat, and may He do so quickly. It should always be remembered that in such a state, until prayers are given attention towards, and until you do not ask for signs from Allah the Almighty, until then we will not observe those successes which Allah the Almighty has promised to provide. Normally, those successes that are witnessed after the manifestation of God's signs. They are such clear successes which even the enemy can see and observe. It is then that the enemy accepts the truth. Extraordinary and exceptional successes are obtained at such a time when we submit before God Almighty with great humility and humbleness and pray and supplicate to Him, and when we fulfill the rights of Allah and His people. May Allah the Almighty enable us to carry this out. The martyrd's brother, Arif Ahmad Sahib, is also a missionary. He has related many of the good qualities of the martyred. He was a person who showed great love to others. Apart from his wife, he leaves behind 6 sons and 2 daughters. The eldest son is 18 years old and the youngest child is 2 years old, and all the rest of the children are at ages in between this. May Allah the Almighty keep them in His protection and safety. The second funeral will be of Abdul Qayyum Sahiba, who is a resident of Rabwa. She was the wife of Sheikh Abdul Salam Sahib, who passed away on 3rd May. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. She was amongst the earliest families of Rabwa. She was a Musia. She leaves behind 3 daughters and 5 sons. One of her sons lives here, Abdul Hafiz Sahib. Similarly, there is a child in Holland, also in Rabwa, and 2 of her grandsons are studying in Jamia Ahmadiyya, United Kingdom. May Allah the Almighty elevate the rank of the deceased.
Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر. اللهم